Right, Henry Bolton's here, OBE, Borders and International Security expert. Henry, very good morning to you.
Morning, Mike.
So, here we are again. We got Migrant of the Day today. We'll get to that in a minute. It's another man that cannot be deported because of some bizarre reason. I'm going to see if you can guess what it is. Let's talk, though, about what's happening this week. 73 migrants arrived on Monday. Quite a low number, actually, I thought. 3,861 since March, since the beginning of March, rather. 5,917 so far this year. Very nearly getting up to just over 29,000 since Starmer was the Prime Minister. So, I mean, this is an increasing curve, isn't it?
It is. I mean, so far, this is the highest number by this point in a year that we've had since the whole problem started.
Yeah.
So the situation is most definitely getting worse, as I predicted it would, because there's a sort of feed through from. Obviously, there's a sort of a delay, but there's a feed through in the number of people who cross the Mediterranean into the southern flank of the European Union,
right?
And then later on, that increase feeds through to here. So we saw sort of last summer and into the autumn a large increase across the Mediterranean. Now it's starting to be seen here. So as is always the case. So entirely predictable. Wasn't headed off. And obviously the government's approach, for whatever it is, it's lots of headlines are saying that they're going to spend this money, create a new unit or go and smash the gangs. None of that is actually working. None of it's having operational effect. And again, that doesn't surprise me in the slightest.
Yeah.
For a budget today, it's all costing us money as well.
Well, exactly right. And with everything that she says in the budget today, I mean, I'll be surprised if she mentions migrants at all. But I mean, it's the elephant in the room, isn't it? Because the billions and billions of pounds that are creating yet another black hole that we're spending just to keep them here and keep them fed and watered and housed.
Yeah, indeed. I mean, it's costing us around about 5.5 million. Figures vary because, of course, the situation varies, the numbers and so on vary as well. But around about 5.5 million per day to accommodate people in hotels. But then, of course, we've got around about 67, heading for 68,000 of these people being accommodated in other forms of accommodation, whether it's social housing or whatever it is that the local authorities have provided. That costs money as well. It's very difficult to calculate exactly what. The ONS says that works out to about £14 a day, but still for heading for 70,000 people, that's a lot of money. But on the other side of the coin, Mike, whatever solution we apply to this is going to cost us money to implement. There is no question of that. The point that I continually make is at the moment, that's going to continue to be the case until we actually stem the flow of these boats. Yeah. And until that happens, it doesn't matter how much money we throw at the problem, what else we do, it's not going to alleviate the problem. The only way to alleviate this problem is to stop the flow of the boats. And the way to do that is to disrupt the flow of people. There are all sorts of reasons why they move, deal with the push factors, why they leave, and far more easily deal with the pull factors, why they want to come here. And we can easily apply the deterrents there. There was the Rwanda scheme, which I criticised heavily, mainly because it was never going to be effective because the government, despite the pleas of people like Robert Jenrick, the government nonetheless sort of deliberately built loopholes into that, so it was never going to work. We've now got the government talking about a similar sort of scheme in the Balkans, which I worked in the Balkans on people smuggling and human trafficking.
Well, according to Angela Eagle, it's a different type of scheme because she claims that the Rwanda scheme was in fact something which would deport people forever, whereas this isn't, which would suggest to me that they're thinking they send people there for processing and then they come back.
That's exactly it, Mike. That's exactly it. So if these people think that they are not going to be be successful, they'll come across illegally in any case. Yeah. And once they're here, if they're from places like Iran, Afghanistan, Syria, the government's still not solved the problem because they still don't have the means to return these people, and they still refuse to detain them in secure facilities until such time either they can be detained or they plea, OK, I've had enough of this, we'll go back.
Yeah.
And on this,
but they're not going to do that, are they? Here's the thing. I mean, you said, every one of the solutions to this will cost us money, but we haven't yet found a solution. There isn't a solution yet.
Well, I think there are, it's a package of solutions, Mike. There is the secure detention. The Refugee Convention does actually allow for that. So I think it's Article 31 of the Convention allows for secure detention if it's in national interest. And that doesn't mean, hardcore security, just terrorists and so on. But it does allow for it. The ECHR doesn't. The Human Rights Act doesn't. Precedents in the UK and European courts doesn't allow for it. So that's hence the discussion about leaving the ECHR. So there's a whole package of things that we need to do, and we need to untangle ourselves from to be able to do this. But no government is looking at doing this. I mean, I've just joined.
But why are they not looking at it? Why are they not looking at it? Sorry, let you do the plug in a minute. But why are they not doing it? Why are they not interested in doing it?
Because I think genuinely, Mike, most Whitehall politicians, Westminster politicians, including sort of senior people and the government, are genuinely out of touch. I think they genuinely believe that the majority of the population would be appalled at such an idea. I think I genuinely believe that that's one of the reasons. The other reason is that they've got an institutional sort of inertia within the civil service that is advising against it, because the civil service itself culturally is opposed to the idea, and in the Home Office particularly that's the case. So there are a lot of obstacles, and the only way to overcome this, Mike, is real sort of visionary leadership, which we lack. We all know we lack that throughout the House of Commons, whether in government or otherwise. So, there's lots of people who talk. There's lots of people who, though, don't have the vision, don't have the knowledge, don't have the experience, and don't have actually the leadership skills. Although they might present themselves well, they don't have the leadership skills to drive this through in government. No,
they absolutely don't. And coming back to your plug in a moment, just one story today, the migrant story of the day, a Pakistani paedophile, a man who was sent to jail, who came out of jail and then committed yet another assault on a teenage girl, was sent back into jail and ordered to be deported, but while he was in jail, operated with a lawyer through the European Convention of Human Rights and got the right to stay here on the grounds that he's an alcoholic. And if he was sent back to Pakistan, he would be treated very badly because of his addiction to booze. I mean, you couldn't make it up.
No, you couldn't. And you lose count of the number of such stories we hear, that there are 18,000 foreign national offenders who should have been deported, but have not been deported and are living amongst us in society. The other thing is, we were talking about hotels and the cost and so on just now, but a lot of these foreign national offenders don't have necessarily anywhere else to go, and so they are being accommodated. They don't have accommodation, and rather than make them homeless when they're kicked out of jail, and rather than deport them, they're actually being accommodated in these hotels, the same as asylum seekers. And so that's causing problems within those hotels as well. But, I mean, all of these things can be dealt with. My plug, Mike, and forgive me for this, but the only party that is talking about doing all of these things is the SDP, the Social Democrat Party. And they're a small party, but, the point is that we've got to get politicians of all parties talking about this in a detailed way. There's no point in saying, we will stop the boats, we'll deploy the Navy, we'll set something up in Albania. These are all words. All of these things are major operational implementation things that need to have detailed planning behind them. And if the thought hasn't gone into how that should be done, what it's going to cost, who's going to do it, what organisations are we going to deploy, if you're not thinking about that as a politician, you shouldn't be talking about the subject at all, because you don't know what the hell you're talking about yet. Go away, think about it, come up with a properly thought through plan of execution, and then tell people what you're going to do, when you're going to do it, how much it's going to cost, and so on. No politician, apart from the SDP, is doing that. And it infuriates me, Mike, because there are politicians making hay on this.
Well, it infuriates an awful lot of people, I have to say. Got to run. Henry, thank you very much indeed. Henry Bolton, OBE, Borders and International Security Expert.